Ladies and gentlemen, in the darkness of every war, alongside the roar of tanks, the screech of rockets, and the storms of artillery fire, there exists an invisible, yet decisive struggle. The war of intelligence. The Russia-Ukraine conflict is not only a clash of armored divisions and fighter squadrons, but also a stage where Russia's intelligence agencies, from the GRU, main Directorate of Military Intelligence, FSB, Federal Security Service, to the SVR, Foreign Intelligence Service, display their power, experience, and ability to shape the battlefield. From the infamous Sandworm cyber campaigns to counterintelligence operations that dismantled CIA networks in Moscow, from hunting down HIMARS and Storm Shadow missiles to controlling occupied territories with security measures, all demonstrate the central role of Russian intelligence in what is considered the most brutal war in Europe since World War II. The Iron Curtain of Russian intelligence. Right before February 24, 2022, the West believed that Kyiv would collapse in just a few days. This assumption was not only based on Russia's armored might, but also on the reach of Moscow's intelligence machine. For years, Russian intelligence had spread political influence in Ukraine, bribed certain officials, and infiltrated deep into state structures. According to a 2023 report from Ukraine's National Security Council, as many as 600 FSB officers and collaborators were uncovered operating in Ukraine from before 2014 up to 2022. The FSB, tasked with monitoring the post-Soviet space, held detailed files on thousands of Ukrainian politicians, officers, and businessmen. The GRU, the military arm, focused on the battlefield, gathering intelligence on NATO deployments, arms shipments, and supply routes. The SVR, the Foreign Intelligence Service, cast its network across Europe, collecting assessments from Western capitals on the extent of their support for Ukraine. Moscow did not rely only on traditional espionage. It turned cyberspace into a new battlefield, where the hacker group Sandworm, accused by Washington of being part of the GRU, spread fear across the continent. Cyber warfare. Sandworm and the invisible weapon. In February 2022, just hours before Russian tanks crossed the border, a cyber attack crippled the Viasat KK-SAT satellite system, knocking tens of thousands of internet modems offline across Ukraine and Europe. According to an EU report, the attack was carried out by Russian cyber units, allegedly under GRU control. It disrupted Ukrainian military communications in certain regions and affected government agencies and energy companies in Germany, France, and Poland. This was not the first time. In 2015 and 2016, Ukraine suffered two cyber attacks that shut down power grids in Kyiv and Ivano-Frankivsk, an unprecedented feat in the history of global cyber warfare. Both incidents, according to US and NATO security agencies, originated from Sandworm. In 2020, the US Department of Justice indicted 6 GRU officers for these operations. In 2017, the NotPetya malware, also deployed by Russia, not only struck Ukraine but spread worldwide, causing an estimated $10 billion in damages, according to the White House Cybersecurity Office. NATO described NotPetya as the most destructive cyber attack in history. In the current war, Russia continues this dominance. According to a Microsoft report, December 2022, more than 40% of cyber attacks targeting Ukraine bore GRU fingerprints. Campaigns have struck energy infrastructure, transport, UAV control systems, military data warehouses, and even social media platforms. This is the electronic arm working in parallel with bombs and artillery on the battlefield, hunting HIMARS and Western weapons. One of the hallmarks of Russian intelligence in this war has been the pursuit and destruction of Western-supplied weapons. From mid-2022, when the US began delivering HIMARS rocket systems to Ukraine, Russia launched a large-scale intelligence operation. According to Defense Express, Ukraine, in the last 6 months of 2022, Russia claimed to have destroyed at least 44 HIMARS launchers or ammunition depots. While Western sources consider this number exaggerated, even the Pentagon admitted that at least 2 HIMARS units were severely damaged. This suggests Russia had precise targeting data, something difficult to achieve without a network of drones, satellites, and possibly human agents. Not only HIMARS, but other advanced systems like Britain's Storm Shadow cruise missiles and America's Patriot systems have also been repeatedly claimed by Russia as intercepted or destroyed. In May 2023, the Russian Ministry of Defense released footage of a Patriot system destroyed by a Kinzhal missile strike in Kyiv, a fact indirectly acknowledged by Western sources when admitting the system had been damaged. All evidence points to Russian intelligence providing coordinates, movement data, and operational mechanisms for these weapons, enabling precision strikes by Russian artillery and missiles. Control of occupied territories. From filtering to psychological warfare. One of the FSB's special tasks has been maintaining security in occupied territories. In Kherson, Zaporizhia, Donetsk, and Luhansk, Russia set up filtration centers to check residents' backgrounds, identifying those linked to the Ukrainian army or security agencies. According to UN estimates, hundreds of thousands of civilians went through this process. Though highly controversial from a military perspective, it was a tool for Moscow to eliminate sabotage threats from within. The FSB also coordinated propaganda units, broadcast Russian television, and introduced new school curricula, turning information warfare into part of societal control. Psychological warfare extended onto the battlefield. Loudspeaker systems, mass SMS messages urging Ukrainian soldiers to surrender, all were part of cognitive warfare that Russian intelligence had mastered since the Cold War. Internal rivalries and Moscow's brain. An interesting feature is the rivalry among the GRU, FSB, and SVR. While the GRU handled direct military operations, the FSB monitored Ukraine internally, and the SVR gathered Western responses. These agencies did not always coordinate smoothly, but their competition created a multi-layered system, allowing cross-checking and verification of intelligence. According to the Washington Post, more than 150 Russian intelligence officers were expelled from Europe in 2022 alone for espionage activities. Yet this did not dismantle Moscow's network, as it still maintains sleeper agents and vast espionage networks in industry and finance. Assassinations, sabotage, and the dark message. Bloody operations also marked this shadow war. In August 2022, Daria Dugina, daughter of philosopher Alexander Dugin, was assassinated by a car bomb in Moscow. Russia accused Ukrainian networks, allegedly with Western intelligence support. Controversial as it was, the event highlighted how Moscow used the fear of assassination to tighten domestic security and justify the necessity of its invisible shield. In August 2023, the death of Yevgeny Prigozhin, head of Wagner, was also interpreted through an internal security lens. A Kremlin message that all challenges are controlled. Though no public evidence emerged, in the logic of intelligence, it underscored the ruthlessness of Russia's security apparatus. Global impact. Beyond Ukraine, Russian intelligence has run a global campaign. In Germany, Poland, and France, numerous Russian spies have been exposed. In April 2023, a Polish intelligence officer was arrested for passing weapons transport data to Moscow. In the US, the FBI admitted dismantling over a dozen covert Russian spy networks within 2 years. NATO has openly accused the GRU of sabotage operations in the Czech Republic, the 2014 ammunition depot explosion, and cyber attacks on the German parliament. This proves that Russian intelligence is not confined to Ukraine, but extends the shadow battlefield worldwide. Conclusion. Moscow's invisible shield. Ladies and gentlemen, tanks can be destroyed, aircraft can be shot down, fleets can sink. But intelligence, with invisible eyes and a cold, calculating mind, endures as a steel shield protecting Moscow. Despite failures on some fronts, no one can deny that Russian intelligence has launched global-scale cyber attacks, hunted down and neutralized many Western weapons, controlled society in occupied territories through filtering and propaganda, maintained influence beyond Ukraine, challenging NATO and the US. The Russia-Ukraine war is therefore written not only in smoke and fire, but also in ciphers, top-secret reports, and unseen operations. And in that darkness, Russian intelligence stands as the invisible shield shaping the fate of the battlefield. Thank you for listening. If you find this video useful and informative, please give it a like and share it with others. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to catch the latest videos.